Your word is a lamp unto my feet. Your way is the only way for me. It's a narrow road that leads to life, but I wanna be on it. It's a narrow road, the mercy's wide, 'cause you're good on your promise. I'll take you at your word. You said it, I believe it. I've seen how good it works. If you start it, you'll complete it. I'll take you at your word. You spoke and the chaos fell in line. Yeah, I know, 'cause I've seen it in my life. It's a narrow road that leads to life, but I wanna be on it. It's a narrow road, and the tide is high. You're part in the waters. I'll take you at your word. You said it, I believe it. I've seen how good it works. If you start it, you'll complete it. I'll take you at your word. If you said it, I believe it. I've seen how good it works. If you start it, you'll complete it. I'll take you at your word. You're good on your promise. You're good on your promise. You're good on your promise. You said your love will never give up. You said your grace is always enough. You said your heart will never forget or forsake me. You said I'm saved, you called me yours. You said my future's full of your hope. You never fail, so I know that you'll never fail me. You said your love will never give up. You said your grace is always enough. You said your heart will never forget or forsake me. You said I'm saved, you called me yours. You said my future's full of your hope. You never fail, so I know that you'll never fail me. I'll take you at your word. If you said it, I believe it. I've seen how good it works. If you start it, you'll complete it. I'll take you at your word. You said it, I believe it. I've seen how good it works. If you start it, you'll complete it. I'll take you at your word. You're good on your promise. Oh yeah, you're good on your promise. Oh, you're good on your promise.
The other day, I was having a conversation with a friend about our innate desire for independence. It starts when we're so young. I do it myself, and it really blossoms in our teen years. We hate the idea that we would be dependent on someone else. We crave autonomy. It's no surprise that our forefathers bristled when they were told what to do without being consulted. And it wasn't just taxation without representation they pushed back on, it was the idea that Parliament had their best interests at heart. After all, who knows what's best for you but you? And so the American spirit is really the human spirit. A desire to be independent, to be free, to be left alone and unaccountable to anyone. After all, who are you to judge? Who are you to tell me what's the right thing for me? In America, I'm free, free to pursue my values, my goals, my own ambitions, and even my own morality. The problem with this mindset is that it doesn't take into account that we're connected to one another. Your freedom at some point is going to bump into my freedom. Because, as it turns out, I have to share this planet with you, and you've got to share it with me and about 8 billion other people. And we don't just bump into each other physically, we bump into each other emotionally because we don't just share spaces, we share our lives. We share our emotions and feelings and relationships. And the closer we get to someone else, well, in a sense, the less free we are. You see, if I want to get close to someone in relationship or I want to stay close to someone that I'm already in relationship with, I've got to surrender some freedom. I have to recognize that I'm not truly independent, that my actions impact the people I'm close to. I surrender my independence. I surrender my autonomy so that I can be close to someone else. Because of our relationship, there are some things I will never do because those actions would harm the relationship. And frankly, sometimes the things I give up don't even make sense to me because I know that they're important for the person that I love. So I give them up. The same is true of our relationship with God. You can choose to be independent and autonomous, or you can choose to surrender to a relationship with God. Does this mean that you're no longer free? Well, Paul, who had his life radically changed by an encounter with Jesus, wrote a lot about freedom. He wrote about half the New Testament, and he talks about freedom in many of his letters, and he says there is no freedom like the freedom that followers of Jesus have. There's no freedom like the freedom that we have in Jesus. In his letter to the Galatians, he writes, "You, my brothers and sisters, were called to be free." You see, when we're called to follow Jesus, it's not a call to live a lesser life, but a bigger, grander, freer life. He goes on to say, don't use your freedom to indulge the flesh. In other words, there's a better use for your freedom. Rather, he says, serve one another humbly in love. See, this is that tension between freedom and relationship. Are we free to do anything? Well, sure. But that means we can abuse our freedom and we can make bad, selfish choices. We can, as Paul said, indulge the flesh. And if we do that, it will cost us in the form of relationship. Or, Paul says, we can serve one another humbly in love. He goes on to write, for the entire law. Now, this is going to be a huge statement because Paul was actually a lawyer. He'd grown up memorizing whole parts of the Jewish law, like 600 commands. So when he talks about the whole law, he's saying a lot. For the whole law is fulfilled in keeping this one command: love your neighbor as yourself. That's it. That's the key to freedom. The key to freedom is to love people, or more specifically, to treat others the way you want to be treated. So, on this Independence Weekend, I hope you have an amazing time with people you love celebrating this great country. I hope there's fireworks and hot dogs and pool parties and all the things. And I hope that there are people that you love, people you would sacrifice for, people you are sacrificing for. Because as it turns out, we best experience freedom when we're willing to lay our freedom down and love someone else. You know who loved you like that? Jesus. That's right. He had all the freedom and autonomy one could ever hope for. He sat on the throne in heaven, but he considered equality with God not something to be grasped. Rather, he made himself nothing, taking the very nature of a servant, being made in human likeness. And being found in appearance as a man, he humbled himself and became obedient to death, even death on a cross. Why would he do that? Because he was willing to trade freedom for relationship with you. If you've never surrendered your independence to God, I'd encourage you to do that today. Lay it down and pick up something even better. Freedom in the context of a relationship with a God who's like a perfect Father who loves you always, forever, and no matter what.
I'm calling on the God of Jacob, whose love endures through generations. I know that you will keep your covenant. I'm calling on the God of Moses, the one who'd opened up the ocean. I need you now to do the same thing for me. Oh God, my God, I need you. Oh God, my God, I need you now. How I need you now. Oh rock of ages, I'm standing on your faithfulness, on your faithfulness, yeah. I'm calling on the God of Mary, whose favor rests upon the lowly. I know with you all things are possible. I'm calling on the God of David, who made a shepherd boy courageous. I may not face Goliath, but I've got my own giants. Oh God, my God, I need you. Oh God, my God, I need you now. How I need you now. Oh rock of ages, I'm standing on your faithfulness, on your faithfulness, yes. You hurt your children then, you hear your children now. You are the same God. You are the same God. You answered prayers back then, and you will answer now. You are the same God. You are the same God. You were providing then. You are providing now. You are the same God. You are the same God. You moved in power then, God move in power now. You are the same God. You are the same God. You were a healer then. You are a healer now. You are the same God. You are the same God. You were a savior then. You are a savior now. You are the same God. You are the same God. Oh God, my God, I need you. Oh God, my God, I need you now. How I need you now. Oh rock of ages, I'm standing on your faithfulness, on your faithfulness, yeah.
Thank you for joining us this weekend. I hope this message and this music were an encouragement to you today. And before you go, hit like and subscribe, and then join us again next Sunday as we gather in person at Liberty Pines Academy for a new series from Andy Stanley. We'll see you then.